when support reveals the inner world, one storm, two ways of being. The snow began falling long before anyone realized how serious it would become. At first, it was the kind of snow that feels almost friendly, drifting down in wide flakes that soften the edges of the world. The road through the mountain pass was still open. The sky was a pale grey, and the wind was calm enough to ignore. By the time the support convoy reached the narrowest part of the pass, the snow had changed its tone. It was not louder. It was not faster. It was heavier. The lead vehicle slowed, tires crunching, headlights cutting a narrow tunnel through the white. Behind it followed three more vehicles, each carrying people who had volunteered to help reopen a small mountain town that had lost power earlier that morning. They were a support team in every sense of the word. Utility workers, medical volunteers, a logistics coordinator, and two drivers who knew mountain roads better than most people knew their own neighborhoods. They all believed they were here for the same reason. And yet, they were not. Evan sat in the second vehicle, gripping a thermos with both hands. His jaw was tight, his shoulders hunched, as if bracing against something more than the cold. Across from him sat Cassidy, wrapped in a wool blanket, quietly watching the snow trace patterns across the windshield. Neither spoke. The radio crackled. The lead driver's voice came through, calm but firm. Visibility's dropping. We're going to pull over at the next turnout and reassess. Evan exhaled sharply. Of course, he muttered. Cassidy glanced at him, her eyes curious but unbothered. Makes sense, she said softly. Better to pause than push. Evan did not answer. The vehicles rolled into a narrow turnout carved into the rock face. Snow already covered half of it. Engines idled. Doors opened and closed. Boots hit the ground. The wind had picked up now, not fierce, but persistent, pushing snow sideways like it had somewhere important to be. The team gathered between the vehicles, faces red, breath visible. This is a mess, Evan said louder than he needed to. We should have known better. Weather reports are never reliable up here. Cassidy stood a few feet away, hands in her pockets, taking it all in. Weather does what weather does, she said. We just respond. Evan laughed once, without humor. Easy to say when you are not responsible for the outcome. Cassidy tilted her head. Are you? He bristled. Aren't we all? The group leader stepped in, reviewing maps, checking phones that no longer had signal. The mountain pass behind them was now invisible. Ahead of them, the road disappeared into white. They were, for the moment, nowhere. As the discussion continued, something subtle but powerful unfolded. The same circumstances pressed on everyone equally. The same cold, the same snow, the same uncertainty. But inside Evan, the storm had teeth. His thoughts raced. This is bad. This always happens. Things stall right when they matter most. If we do not move soon, this will turn into a disaster. Each thought tightened his chest a little more. Cassidy felt the same wind on her face, the same cold seep into her boots. But inside her, there was space. Interesting, she thought. This is where we are now. Let's see what unfolds. The leader announced the decision. We're staying put for now. It's safer. We'll wait it out. Evan's hands clenched into fists. Waiting is how problems grow. Cassidy smiled gently. Sometimes waiting is how they dissolve. He turned toward her. You really believe that? I do not believe, she said. I notice. They retreated to their vehicles. Inside the second vehicle, The heater hummed. Snow ticked softly against the windows. Evan stared straight ahead, his mind replaying every story he had ever told himself about delays, obstacles, and effort. To him, the snow was not neutral. It was personal. Cassidy closed her eyes. She let the hum of the engine become a background rhythm. She noticed her breath. She did not try to change anything. She simply allowed herself to settle into the moment as it was. A quiet calm spread through her chest, not because the situation was solved, but because she was no longer arguing with it. Minutes passed, then more. Outside, the storm reached its peak inside Evan. Tension built until it had nowhere left to go. "This is pointless," he snapped. "We're stuck. People down there are counting on us." Cassidy opened her eyes. "They are counting on us to do the best we can from where we are. And what if this is the best we can do?" He challenged. "Then that is enough," she said simply. He shook his head. "That kind of thinking is how people give up." She met his gaze, steady and warm. "No, it is how people stop fighting what is and start aligning with what is possible." The word aligning landed somewhere deep inside him, though he did not yet know why. Another hour passed, then something shifted. The wind softened, the snow eased, visibility slowly returned. The radio crackled again. "Looks like we've got a window," the lead driver said. "Let's move while we can." Relief surged through the group. Evan felt it too, but it was tangled with confusion. They had not done anything to make this happen. They had waited. As the convoy resumed its crawl through the pass, Evan's mind went quiet in a way it had not before. He watched Cassidy in the dim light, her posture relaxed, her gaze forward but unstrained. "How did you know?" he asked after a while. She looked at him. "Know what?" "That it would pass." She smiled. "I did not. I just trusted that fighting it would not help." The road opened up as they descended toward the town, lights appearing below like scattered stars. Evan felt something loosen inside his chest. Not relief exactly, something deeper, understanding. The same storm, the same delay, the same support mission. Two completely different inner journeys. As they reached the town and began their work, restoring power, checking on residents, coordinating supplies, Evan noticed how differently he felt. The pressure he usually carried was not gone, but it was no longer in charge. Later that night, as snow continued to fall gently, he found Cassidy standing outside, looking up at the sky. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" she asked. "For showing me another way to be in the same situation." She nodded. "Support teams are not just about fixing things out there." She tapped her chest lightly. "They are about how we support ourselves in here." Evan looked around at the quiet town, the lights glowing steadily now. For the first time in a long while, he felt something that did not depend on circumstances. He felt aligned.